Welcome to DML Discovery Metal Legion. Today's the big day. We're going to review Behemoth's brand new album. If I can just hang on. Opvs Contra Natvram. Now, in case you don't know, this is Behemoth's latest album. Now, throughout this video, I'm also going to give you an album ranking for all the discography. So it'll be all albums ranked, including a review for this brand new album. In case you don't know, Behemoth started as a black metal band throughout Zventiev, Storming Near the Baltic, and Grom. But they did change the sound throughout Pandemonic Incantations and became more of a black and death metal act. And from then, they have experimented throughout these albums. They've added a few sounds, but they do primarily sound more like black and death metal now. A lot of people say that Behemoth are still black metal. Well, in my opinion, they aren't black metal anymore. They do have black metal elements, but that's why they are black and death. So let's talk about this brand new album. Now, before I start, pop your favorite Behemoth albums down below, also rank them. So it's been a few years since Behemoth released their last album, which was I Love Your Darkness. And that was a very good album in my opinion. Very atmospheric, there was a lot of atmosphere. It was more on the black and death metal side. It wasn't as good as the Satanist, but it was still a top caliber album. And there were slower songs like Bartsabal, and there were also heavy songs like Wuza Siberia, but they really held true of that black and death metal sound. So this brand new album, Opvs Contra Natvram, and they basically produced the same thing. It's a black and death metal album with a few cleaner vocals throughout this LP as well. Like the Deathless Sun has some really nice clean vocals and some chants, and it's really catchy. Dare I say, this is probably one of the most catchiest and fun Behemoth albums I've heard. Probably the most fun Behemoth album. It seems like Behemoth aren't taking themselves too seriously. The lyrics are fun. It's overall talking about Satanism and everything like that. You know, just really dark, evil stuff. But Behemoth do sound really good on this. Now, Nurgle's vocals are very dynamic, rich and warm in tone. I do love his aggression on this as he does incorporate cleaner vocals. The drumming on this by Inferno is fantastic as well. Some really tight little drum accents and tight drum fills. They'll blow the listener off guard. You got Orion on bass, and also he does provide vocals, backup vocals, and not to mention the guitar work on this by Nurgle. The solos are absolutely fucking fantastic. Let's go track by track with. So the production on this is very good. It's fulfilling in tone, if you get what I mean. Like, it is very satisfying to listen to. There's a lot of atmosphere that builds throughout the first track. It's a lot slower track than a traditional introduction for Behemoth. Apart from the last album, where it was a very similar track to build on to Postcode Nirvana is a very good song. It's slow, very atmospheric in tone. Nurgle slowly provides those harsh vocals, which leads to Malaria Vulgaria. This song is fantastic. It's got that traditional Behemoth classic riff that you expect. The vocals are very harsh and aggressive in tone. I really do enjoy Inferno's drumming on this. Orion's bass is very prominent throughout the mix, and I do love the backup vocals that harmonize between Nurgle's vocals, and yeah, it just works overall. A pretty solid second song to kick off Opvs Contra Natvram. Then we lead on to the Deathless Sun. I am nothing without him. There's nothing. The Deathless Sun is my favorite song off the album, bar one song. It's got some cool vocals. I do love the chant vocals, the great guitar work, not to mention some great solos as well. The drumming is spectacular, and not to mention this is one of the best Behemoth songs in my opinion. It's just terrific. Some gnarly, terrific black and death metal on this with some very catchy elements. A lot of people won't enjoy this because it's more melodic than a Behemoth song, but dare I say, this is probably one of the most catchiest Behemoth albums I've ever heard in my life. Leads into Of My Herculean Exile, the first single they released, and I loved it from the first. It's heavy, it's majestic, and it's also epic. Behemoth are providing a much epic sound throughout their last few albums. probably after Evangelion. Even though Evangelion has some epic moments such as Lucifer. But yeah, Of My Herculean Exile has this epic moment. It's quite melodic, it's quite catchy as well, with some cool riffing, and I do love the songwriting on this, the nice chord progression, enjoyable song. But I just feel like it's probably one of the weaker songs off the album. Like, in my opinion, this isn't a bad album by Behemoth, but it is definitely one of the weakest in their discography. On My Herculean Exile is a good song. Neo Spartacus really do enjoy this song overall. Nurgle does provide some sort of throat vocals on this. It's pretty good, really cool riffing on this, and I do love the little tiny drum fills you were getting by Inferno. Not to mention the accents on this are quite outstanding. Really good musicianship. It's fun. It's also chaotic as well. Talking about the next song, which is probably the most chaotic Behemoth song I've ever heard in my life. And it's only in the conclusion of this song, this Disinheritance. Disinheritance is a really fast, cool tremolo picking as well, with some great riffs. But the conclusion of this song is quite chaotic. There are just really vast, even symphonic elements that build throughout Disinheritance, and it's really quite epic and majestic. But Disinheritance has this really chaotic part. I keep saying chaotic because it is chaotic. But you're like saying, whoa, what am I listening to at times? Because this song is great. Great song. One of my favorite songs off the album. Off to War is, yeah, the weakest song off the album, in my opinion, along with Of My Herculean Exile. It's a good song overall. There's nothing really much I can say. Again, there's some interesting sound effects on this that I do enjoy, but yeah, there's nothing much I can say about Off to War. Once Upon a Pale Horse is definitely up there to be one of my favorite songs off the album. It's great. It's got a cool riff on it. The riff is amazing. The vocal lines are fantastic. The melody is there. It's one of the catchiest songs off the album. It's probably one of those fun songs off the album as well. So damn good, along with the cool guitar licks you were getting on Once Upon a Pale Horse. Yeah, definitely one of my favorite Behemoth songs, and it could possibly get into my top 10 favorite Behemoth songs. I love it. When it comes to Thy Becoming Eternal. Now, I was talking to Questy, and he said it sounds like there's sort of following A Father, Son, No Son with its epic and majestic tone to it. Yeah, I can understand what he's saying here, because I know I listened to it with him, and we thought the same thing, that it should have been the end. It should have ended off the album, except Thy Becoming Eternal is a lot more slower in my opinion, and there are some hooky moments that do catch the listener off guard at times. It's okay, I guess. Hopefully this song is going to grow on me, but there's really nothing much I can say Thy Becoming Eternal. Except the conclusion's pretty cool. Leads on to Versus Christus, slow building song. It's a very different song by Behemoth. It's like slower in the introduction, but a nice crescendo, and the vocals hit hard. It's a good way to end off the album, in my opinion, about 6 minutes and 30, one of the longest songs off the album, and it leaves a smile on your face once you listen to the final notes of this LP. So overall, Opvs Contra Natvram, good Behemoth album, but I just feel it's definitely one of the weakest in the discography. So for Behemoth Opvs Contra Natvram, I'm going to give this a 65%. Overall, this album will grow on me. I'm guessing it will grow on me, and I think it's a solid album by Behemoth, but it's definitely one of their weakest. Do really enjoy the production on this, love the guitar tone, and I do love Nurgle's vocals as well, but it just shows how strong Behemoth is within their overall discography. So 65% it gets. Okay, so let's move on to the ranking. So coming last is Pandemonic Incantations. Pandemonic Incantations is when they change to blackened death metal. Nurgle utilizes his deeper growls on this, and there are some really good songs like 10,000 Plagues I Witnessed, that cool guitar. The Past is Like a Funeral. That is probably one of my favorite songs by Behemoth. I love that song, and there are some great moments on this. Cool guitar, but the production's not that great in my opinion. That's why it's one of their weakest, and Pandemonic Incantations sits here. Next up is controversial Thelema 6. It's a good album overall. Again, Behemoth do that black and death metal sound. The Act of Rebellion's fantastic. Anti-Christian Phenomenon, what a way to start off the album. Christians to the Lions, amazing song, but the rest of the songs are just mediocre in my opinion. It's a good album overall, but I just feel that yeah, it's definitely one of the weakest in their discographies. Next up is a brand new album, Opvs Contra Natvram. Very good album overall, but the problem with Behemoth that it does sound a bit samey. Most of the Behemoth songs nowadays do sound the same. They have sort of lost their creativity, but this album is still very good. I question whether they're going to create another masterpiece. I'm not too sure. What is their next album going to be like? Who knows? But this album is a good album. It'll probably grow on me throughout further listens. But yeah, Opvs Contra Natvram, nothing really much I can say about it. It's just there. Next up is The Apostasy. A lot of people have this a little bit higher, but I just feel that it just sits here. Saying the Prophets of Issa, what an incredible song that is. At the Left Hand of God, yes, this shirt is from The Apostasy. Be Without Fear, Inner Sanctum, really cool song, and even Christ Grinding Avenue. It's got some classics on this, and it is a pretty strong album by Behemoth, but I just prefer a few others than The Apostasy. Next up is Satanica. This album's so damn good. You got songs like Lamb, Ceremony of Shiva. You got songs like The Sermon of the Hypocrites, The Alchemist's Dream, and not to mention the Chant for Eschaton 2000. Yeah, one of the best albums by Behemoth. Absolutely love it. I love how evil this sounds. Behemoth don't sound like this anymore, unfortunately. And Satanica is amazing. It really is. Decade of Therion, amazing. Self-erotic transformation and canality. Amazing songs, amazing albums, deserves to sit here. Okay, next up is I Love You, Your Darkest. This album just grows on you, and I really do appreciate, especially after like 10 listens. It's probably the most atmospheric Behemoth album. And each song just flows. It flows like water. Great songs like Wolves Are Siberia, God Equal Dog, Batsabel, Come to Me, Batsabel. If Crucifixion was not enough, got songs like Sabbath Matter, We Are the Next 1,000 Years. It's just a great album through and through. A lot of people don't appreciate this album yet, but people will appreciate this album in the coming years. You can guarantee it. It's definitely one of the best Behemoth albums in this modern era. Next up is Zos Zia Cultus, one of my favorite Behemoth albums. It's incredible. Horns of Baphomet, wow, what an incredible song. So Above, So Below. The Heart of the Saints, No Sympathy for Fools. No Sympathy for Fools. That cool intro is probably one of the best intros by Behemoth. But yeah, Modern Iconoclast, just amazing songs on this. It's a very evil album by Behemoth as well, and it deserves to be one of the best. Okay, so next up is Grom. This is their sophomore album, and it is black metal. It's atmospheric black metal. Nurgle's vocals, you wouldn't believe these were Nurgle vocals, but they are The Dark Forest, Cast Me Your Spell. What an incredible song. Some very long songs in the black metal Behemoth days, around about 8 minutes, some of them. Dragon's Lair, I love it. Rising Proudly Towards the Sky, his vocals on that are just incredible. Thou Shalt Forever Win. Grom to end off the album. Just the cool vocals on this. Brilliant album by Behemoth. Spellcraft and Heathenum, what an incredible song that is. I love it. So yeah, Behemoth Grom sits here. One album that has really grown on me throughout the years, it's none other than Demigod. So Demigod sits here, and it's got Reign of Shamsu Hor, one of the most underrated Behemoth songs. No one ever freaking talks about it, but I love it. I just love how progressive it is. It is definitely the most probably death metal sounding Behemoth album out there. Got songs like Slaves Shall Serve, I Saw That Live. Or songs like Towards a Babylon, Demigod, Conquer All. This album is absolutely amazing. And I know it's a lot of people's favorite album as well. But yeah, Demigod, in my opinion, is just spectacular. It really is. It's definitely one of their best. It's more progressive than a lot of Behemoth albums. The vocals, Nurgle's vocals are just so damn demonic on this. Well-tight and cohesive album by Behemoth. I love this album. Okay, here's a lot of people's favorite albums, none other than Satanist. This album overall was fantastic. In my opinion, it is a masterpiece, and a lot of people love this album. Blow Your Trumpets, Gabriel, what an incredible song. That intro, one of the classics. Metanoia, The Satanist, Ben Sahar, none other than O Father, O Satan, O Son. So what an incredible album this is. It's easily one of my favorites, but The Satanist I feel is slightly overrated. Few other albums that I feel are better than this one. Next up is none other than their debut albums, Venti of Storming Near the Baltic. This album is incredible in my opinion. It's atmospheric black metal. This is Behemoth's start, and this is just Polish black metal at its best. Great songs like The Chant of the Eastern Lands, the cool folkier elements, songs of Entering the Faustian Soul, the Wolves Guard My Coffin, the cool clean vocals on Hell Dwells in Ice, one of the most strangest Behemoth songs out there. It's incredible. It is one of the best. I love it. But my favorite album by Behemoth is none other than Evangelion. Yes, Evangelion's still my favorite by Behemoth. It's incredible. We got the last song, Lucifer, with the most best guitar riff you've ever heard in your whole entire life. How eerie, how just, this is a much more bigger album by Behemoth. It's a lot bigger, it's much more majestic than all the other LPs I mentioned. Songs like Shem Ham Farash, Dimonos, He Who Breeds Pestilence, how heavy that song is, Alas Lord Is Upon Me, and Defiling Morality of Black God. This is probably the most aggressive Behemoth album, and it's definitely one of my favorites. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the review. Let me know in the comments below your favorite Behemoth album. Yeah, but this album was fantastic. There's no bad Behemoth albums. That's why I got a tattoo right here. Can you see? Yeah, love Behemoth. And let me know in the comments below, and I will see you in the next one.